Okay. Did those specific people, are they politically aligned with you?
Check the following questions, broad and vague, calls for speculation.
I have no clue if they're political or anything.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay. And what social justice imperative did it serve to continue to have Dr. Holliday, who had been found to have made a race-based hiring decision, continue to supervise an MPS?
Check the following questions, argumentative, broad and vague, compound, calls for speculation. Go ahead and answer if you can.
I've explained my perspective on social justice and work environments. So.
Okay. And does this report help jog your memory about the Calvin Furman complaints about Keith Posley?
I see it in here, the fact that there's some reference to it. It does.
Okay.
Reminds me of that.
So, did Calvin Furman's complaints against Keith Posley result in any action by the board?
Check the following questions, broad and vague. Also foundation.
I'm not sure that there's a connection between the two. I actually don't know when people on the board saw those complaints.
Sure. My question only is, Calvin Furman reports Keith Posley. Did that result in any change in behavior by the board?
Same objections.
I can't answer. I don't know.
Did anybody accuse Calvin Furman of his complaints against Keith Posley of being racist at any time?
I don't know, because somebody could have. I did not hear that.
Okay. Any other complaints? Any complaints made against Keith Posley that have been? Are there any complaints made against Keith Posley that have been not responded to by the board because of accusations that the person who made the complaints against Keith Posley was racist?
I reject the phone questions. Broad and vague, compound, calls for speculation. Go ahead and answer if you can.
I don't know.
Well, have you witnessed any?
Same objections.
Witness any what?
Sure. Very clear. You witnessed the board members say that we're not, the complaints against Keith, Dr. Holliday are racist. Did you witness any similar reaction to any complaints made against Keith Posley?
Check the following questions, argumentative. Overbroad, vague, calls for speculation.
I don't recall.
You don't recall? Okay. Were you aware of any other open complaints against Dr. Holliday at any time?
Check the phone questions, broad and vague, hold on, answer if you can.
I wasn't aware.
Sorry, what?
I wasn't aware. I mean, I wasn't aware of a different set of criticisms.
Okay. Are you aware of any concerns that Dr. Holliday retaliated against Debbie Keither for complaints she made against Jeremiah Holliday?
Am I aware that... Again, repeat the question.
Are you aware of any complaints that Debbie Keither made against Keith Posley for retaliating against her?
I believe I was made aware of some of those, but I can't recall specifics.
Okay, do you believe she complained that she was retaliated against for bringing her concerns to the board?
Check the form of questions, broad and vague, also argumentative, lacks foundation, go ahead and answer if
I don't know if it was because, whether or not just because she made a complaint to the whistleblower or the Office of Board Governments or to the board.
Okay.
Which I don't know.
Well, what were the substance of the complaints, if you know?
Substance of the complaints that she made?
Mm-hmm. Dr. Keither, right.
I think she, I'm not sure. It was, I mean, I don't recall. It was either complaints where she was targeted or complaints that she was maybe moved from one job to another.
Okay. Did you ever go to Washington High School with Larry Miller to witness Debbie Keither's working conditions?
I'm not sure if I went there with Larry. I did go there eventually, and I also saw some photographs that I think that he shared with board members.
Okay, why'd you do that?
Why did I do that? Because I was interested in hearing, the substance of her complaints.
Okay, do you believe that you knew of your complaints before you went to the Washington High School?
Check the phone question, Friday.
I can't remember. There had been a purpose for me to go, and I think it was to investigate that, to look at what the conditions were, and to hear, what happened.
So you personally investigated Dr. Keither's working conditions, is that fair?
I'm going to check formal questions argumentative. That's the use of word investigated. Also calls for speculation.
I went there to see if I could find out stuff. I wasn't feeling that. I knew that as a board member, I was not in a position to investigate like an attorney or Jason might be able to. That's really, it's really up to it's not up to individual board members to investigate that. However, I was just concerned, and so I went and I was briefly at Washington High School.
Okay, when you were briefly at Washington High School, did you speak to the principal at any time?
Can't remember.
Okay, and you were a board member though?
Yeah.
And do people understood you to be a board member when you went there?
Yeah.
And you went there with Larry Miller, right?
I'm not sure. Do you have any evidence that I did? I mean, I could have gone, we could have gone sequentially or parallel. I'm not sure.
Okay. And Larry Miller went there, at that time, he was the president of the board, right?
I assume so.
Okay. So we've got the president of the board, and did you hold any other positions, just straight up member at that time?
Just
Okay, so 2 former MTA members, 2 former educators, go to Washington High School and don't necessarily investigate, but they find out facts. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to put words in your own mouth. What was the purpose of you being at Washington High School at that time?
Just so I could see with my own eyes what might be going on.
Okay, what did you see with your own eyes?
I know that my understanding is when she went to Washington High School, the principal wasn't there, and the secretary told her there was a room in the basement that she would have his office, and that the room wasn't cleaned out, it wasn't prepared really for an office.
Okay, you got some pictures, is that right?
Some photos of, I've been, yes, I'm familiar with situations for different reasons why rooms aren't cleaned out, and it was clear it wasn't cleaned up.
Okay. So, what steps did the board take after the president and you learned that this room was not cleaned up?
I think that, I'm not sure that the board took any steps. I think the superintendent the superintendent also visited Washington. I don't think I was with him, but I think the room was summarily cleaned up the next day, and the computer was put in there. So I think that those issues wasn't something for the board to take up. I don't think the board took up anything on that.
Okay. Do you have any recollection of the board taking anything up?
Check the phone questions, Brian Bag. Answer
I just said I didn't have any.
Okay, appreciate that. Did you think that that office, as in the condition that it was in, was an appropriate place for a PhD employee of Milwaukee Public Schools to work?
Check the phone question, speculation, I haven't answered it.
I think one thing I thought was, it was certainly not clean, but that once it's clean, that it was an okay office.
Okay, and why was it an okay office for the head of curriculum and instruction reading? Why was that an appropriate office for her to be in?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not one who knows where people's offices are. I know at central office I see a lot of people in pretty tight conditions, so I can't answer that question.
Okay, well, in your knowledge and experience as an MPS employee, do you believe being moved from central office to a dirty room in the basement of Washington High School, was that a positive move or a negative move?
Check the phone question provided by calls for speculation, go ahead and answer.
Well, clearly, I wouldn't want anybody to have to work in a messed up room. However, I felt that because there wasn't communication to the school that she was arriving, it's not surprising that a room might not have been cleared out for her. Had it been.
Well, do you know if there's a phone in the room? How about a computer?
There might have been.
Okay, and so the issue, it wasn't that a PhD curriculum and instructor, senior director, was being moved to a dirty basement in a high school. The issue was whether or not the room was clean. Is that fair to say?
Check the phone questions, argument, also calls for speculation, it's brought by go ahead and answer.
I think the issue was it wasn't inherently dirty or under-resourced. You can get a phone, you can get a computer, and it might take a day or two.
So, okay, how many other times did you, in conjunction with the school board president, visit offices at MPS to inspect for cleanliness?
Check the phone question.
I don't recall any other time.
That's the only time, right? Okay. So, in fact, you went there in response to Dr. Keither's complaints, right?
It must have been, yeah. I can't remember specifically what I said.
Okay. And
somebody else might have told me about it and I decided to go, but I can't remember if it was her or somebody else.
Okay, and did Dr. Keither make any complaints about the hostile work environment?
Actually, I'm not sure she was there when we went to Washington.
Sure. Whether she was there at Washington or not, you went to Washington for some reason, right? Okay. Did you go in response to Debbie Keither making any complaints about retaliation from Keith Poser?
And then, I didn't see it as a retaliation. I saw it as I didn't see it as retaliation.
Okay. Why did you prejudge those complaints at that time?
Check the phone question. Argumentative.
I don't understand that.
You're telling me she made a complaint of retaliation. You agree with me that Debbie Keither made a complaint of retaliation to the school board against Keith Poser, right?
I'm not sure if she made it to the school board. I know I heard that she complained to me and to I assume some other members of the board.
So Dr. Keither complained to you personally, is that fair?
I think so.
Okay. And so when she complained to you, did she only discuss the cleanliness of her room or something else?
I assume she talked about problems with the toxicity.
Okay. And that's again against Keith Poser, right?
No, it was Jeremiah.
Okay. Did Jeremiah Holliday move Dr. Keither to Washington High School or somebody else?
Check the foundation.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it was.
Okay. going to point you to the last page of this document. There's 4 bullet points there in black. This is the 4th one there. It says that on December 29th, after Dr. Saffold again repeated these concerns to Dr. Posley directed members of his team to take reassignment actions against whistleblower.
Yes, wait, where is this?
It's just above my perspective.
Okay, yeah.
Then on December 29th, that's the...
Okay.
Okay, if I submit to you that whistleblower A is Debbie Keither, does this refresh your recollection that on December 29th, after Dr. Saffold again repeated these concerns to Dr. Posley directed members of his team to take reassignment action against Debbie Keither?
Checking the form of the questions, broad and vague, also foundation, calls for speculation on the part of this witness. Go ahead and answer if you can.
I just don't know.
Okay. So you don't have any recollection of whether Keith Posley directed Dr. Keither to move to Washington High School?
Check the form of the questions been asked and answered, also broad and vague. Go ahead and...
Yeah, I don't know who directed it.
All right. So, great. Now, do you know who Teresa Folleron is?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you know her?
She's the employee of MPS.
Did she ever raise any concerns with you at any time?
No.
Okay, how'd she do that?
I'm not sure if it's an email or a phone call or both.
Okay, so the first time that she raised a concern with you was by a email, phone call, or something like that. Is that fair?
Probably.
Okay. And what response? Let's back up for a second. Do you recall what the nature of her complaint was to you at that time?
It might have been working conditions. It might have been concerns about MPSU. I get them sort of confused or they're intertwined.
Okay. But do you recall her making a complaint to you at any time about MPSU?
Yeah, or complaint or concern, yes.
Sure, but we've agreed to use those words interchangeably, right?
Yeah, well, I guess, actually in this case, I think it's the concern, she was concerned about the future of MPSU.
Okay.
And that's different than being a complaint about the future, you know what I'm saying?
Sure, I appreciate that distinction. So let's just focus, but also, I guess, to back up for 1 second yet, there was also complaints about working conditions. Is that fair?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't recall specifically.
And just so where we're at, I've got 11:44 here. I'd like to do a few more minutes on this subject, and I assume we'll all want to break at some point.
Okay.
Sure.
Right, just to telegraph things here. Okay. Thank you. So then I'll move on to the back to the MPSU concerns. What were her concerns about the future of MPSU that she expressed to you at that time?
I'll say this. MPSU has a lot of moving parts. And I think the concerns that were raised were about specific threads within the MPSU, how people might have been miscommunicated with, how promises might have been made, and so I was concerned about that because I believe that we should have a good MPSU. So I appreciated knowledge, adding knowledge to my base of what is going on in MPSU. Okay, I'll be honest, the details are pretty obscure in my mind. And it's not because of my age, it's because of MPSU is, as I said, a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, but that's another way to put a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of complaints with MPSU, right?
Yeah, but the complaints had to do both with DPI, with how, you know, a whole range of different institutions that were involved or not involved. So it wasn't, things weren't just specifically, things were not clear.
Okay. And do you know who Lonnie Anderson is?
Yeah,
Who is Lonnie Anderson?
he's an employee for Milwaukee Public Schools.
Okay. Where is he in the hierarchy related to Keith Posley?
I'm not sure what his official job description, I think I'm not sure what his official job description is now.
Do you know him to have any connection with MPSU?
He had some, yes, he was, I don't know what his official title was within MPSU, but he was working within that.
Okay. Did you know him to ever be moved out of MPSU at any time?
I think so.
Why did that happen?
I think because of the various concerns that were raised.
Okay. And did you have anything to do with that?
I don't, my involvement, I'm not sure what my involvement had any impact on the things. I did raise concerns, general concerns about what was going on with the superintendent. Concerns, I was critical of the DPI. I never talked to anybody in the DPI. I just raised concerns about that. Probably, you know, there was other just questions about different institutions that were part of MPSU and what their relationship was with MPS.
Like Viterbo University, for example.
Yeah, it was one example.
Any others?
Well, I mean, I know, I believe that there was a group of physical education teachers who had there was some issue about them being certified. I can't remember if their program stopped or whatever. There was, I think, concerns about bilingual program, concerns about, I'm not sure if Bruno College was involved. And I'm not raising criticisms of all those groups, I'm just saying that they were all intertwined with MPS trying to get, you know, permission to certify teachers. And that something I believe would be positive, or is positive. But it was caught up with a lot of stuff at DPI, which was out of my participation. I mean, I didn't involve myself with that at all.